Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. I want to say the Emperor's New Tomb because I'm confusing it with the Emperor's New Groove. And I want to say Lego Indiana Jones because I'm confusing it with the Lego Indiana Jones games I've played before. Suffice it to say, this first level seems like it's pretty big. Like, took us over an hour to get halfway through it. It would be strange if all of a sudden things shifted and we finished this level fairly quickly. I guess I'm assuming these are where the checkpoints are, because it would be kind of crazy to not make checkpoints and then have a load sequence. Compared to the previous Indiana Jones, it does seem like we are in a much better situation with this game. That being said, I am still looking for... You have to, I bet, get more in the center. Yeah, even though the headpieces are on the corner, he really wants you to be in the center. Still looking for a little bit more conversation and dialogue. Let's see if, with nothing equipped, grab an enemy by pressing the left and right mouse buttons together. So that should be. That did not work. Nothing here. And the other guy didn't seem to see it. It is both the B and Y buttons. You just gotta kind of slap them as buttons. Interesting how he just jumped down there for a pathfinding action. So let's see if we can maybe convince. Do seem like you probably have to. It does seem like you probably have to, like, be careful. Is there somebody else around here? Yeah, I'm very distracted, obviously, so I'm going really quiet here as I'm beating on people. It still has a slightly off feel compared to, like, Lego, Indiana Jones and Fate of Atlantis. I guess we just wait until the air or the audio tells us we're safe. It does kind of feel like there's very little difference between if you have a shovel, or if you have a knife, or if you have a bottle. But I don't think I would really even complain too much if it is a pretty pointless option. It's still an option that I kind of agree with, to let people feel like they're doing something different. Well, what I was trying to say before I lost my train of thought is the defending part seems like that is going to come into play also. Well, we can see there's a switch up there, so we do eventually deal with that. We never found a way to fully safely jump down ledges, so we'll take that. Now, I'm hearing a little bit of a bird chirping, so I wonder if the bird chirping is an indicator of something secret. Let's just take a little bit of fall damage and save some time.
Keep an eye out for the American when Big is hit.
So, am I supposed to go up that ladder where it seems like they'd probably just see me and attack me? Or am I supposed to take more of a stealth approach? Or have we hit a level now where both options are fairly valid? I don't know if there's a believable case that this boarded up section would open up. Have to get fairly close to the edge. Again, jump and grab the thin ledge ahead of you. Shimmying by left and right. So we've got another movement mechanic. Clearly, this is all these second generation and first generation 3D platforming games were about, though, is that it was embracing, it was very much embracing the concepts of animating a lot of 3D animations that are just going to be at a completely different scale compared to 2D animations, which would have just not been anywhere as demanding. You can't get over there. Knock weapons out of enemies' hands. Equip the weapon, hold the left mouse button. Interesting. Let's see if we can pull that off.
There he is. There he is.
Which one is supposed to be the mouse button, left mouse button, I guess? I guess I've immediately just also forgotten about the idea of grabbing people. So you've got a lot of combinations, obviously, of different buttons between when playing on a controller. That would be the X and Y, but no, the Y and B buttons. But oddly, the Y button is effectively the right mouse button, and the B button is the left mouse button, which would explain why when you press the Y button you swing the right hand, and when you press the B button, you swing the left hand. It's backwards. And I don't know if it would really have changed that much if you swap those two buttons around. I don't think I'm gonna bother to do that.
The stone is weakened here. If I could get my hands on explosives, that's the way to do.
Okay, so we need some explosives. I am now completely out of weapons. I guess the real question here is, should I just be whipping people non-stop? We can also see that these characters are exactly the same person and the exact same model, so we still definitely have a case in these like second generation games where there's limitations. Even if you're getting better 3D models, there's going to be limitations on how many different varieties of models you can have. Even now, with the advent of like Unreal Engine 5.0, 5.1, 5.2, whatever version, subversion we're up to, and having just the beginning hints at procedural generation of background characters, we still have yet to hit a level where an actual character you fight would make sense to be procedurally generated or even uniquely generated. You certainly are a lot better than this. You'll have dozens, if not hundreds of people bespokely handcrafted as in use in the live games. But in this game so far, we've seen maybe 4 different looking enemies at most, which arguably that's fewer enemies than you would have had variety in a Super Mario Brothers 1 game. Go ahead and drink some water. Better to not die, so better for the water to run out. And then there's a lot of reason to have the whip be your default equipped thing. And there was a character up there, but I don't think there's really a way to get up this section.
I'll try not to pull myself up.
So now we have a demolition charge, which feels like it's going to be a singular key. Wall can be destroyed with an explosive charge. Run for cover. The explosion could seriously damage Indy. What I find weird about this though is it definitely feels like there was some other thing to collect in this section in particular. But I just don't see it, so whatever. It's possible we're getting some dark sections in shadow here, so it's possible that there would be maybe a part where you would need to cut down some vines to find the collectible. This is interesting because it feels like you should be able to jump up there. And that was a much quicker transition out of that section, and uniquely focused section around just fighting people. I still heavily suspect that this is not the enemies we'll be fighting in the long run, and that we are just doing a kind of beginning tutorial level. But this will be, I guess, our first opportunity to maybe do some puzzles. Or maybe no puzzles and we're just going into a boss fight. You can roll hard with this gonna click. Step around the corner and press this. It's weird you can't walk in here and we just have like invisible walls. It's weird you can climb up. See if maybe we can grab this guy. It's just a lot of people here. Yeah, unless we're gonna just drink a bunch of water. Yeah, I keep hitting the button to drink. I need to put the water away. I need to pick up a knife. I need to probably pick up a gun. Pick up our hat. Alright. See, it's weird to have this inbuilt machete and then pick up another machete. Feels like that should have not been the situation. Okay. So now we've got a revolver. I guess we'll just pistol whip the guy. Arguably, maybe this game is a little too easy. Seven shots on a shotgun thing is a weird choice. That you could have 7 shots in that kind of shotgun. Okay. Nothing in a revolver. Maybe that was a 7 shots because now I'm out of bullets again. Just run and punch. See, I don't know if I'm running out of bullets or if the game is kind of glitching and giving me the wrong amount of bullets. And telling me I just got like 7 revolver bullets when I really only got a couple. Now, I can't change the difficulty, so I probably would lean more into the idea of playing on easy as a recommendation. This does feel like much like the Infernal Machine as far as I got into that game, which was only a couple hours. It does feel like I may eventually run into a situation where I'm very low on bullets and having a very rough time of it as such. And it really does seem like there's just a lot of places you could climb up here. And I guess that might be intentional. Indiana Jones breathing way too heavy. When you know your main game mechanic is going to be platforming, you really, I don't think, should have a character that's sounding out of breath after minimal amounts of jumping. And I hope I got everything here. What's that? I hope that's nothing. I think that is nothing. Yeah, I don't think that's anything. We are increasingly, though, just being handed areas with enemies and then platforming. I was hoping for a puzzle, and instead of... Yeah, I think I'd die if I just jumped down. Although, I may accidentally do it anyways. Come on. We're getting the exact same line of dialogue to tell us there's an enemy nearby over and over again. If you can stun lock these characters into so you can punch them over and over again, they won't actually hit you. But yeah, I desperately want to get to some kind of revelation. That's hopefully where we're going. And some actual plot and some actual story. Otherwise, this is going to be too much. It's going to feel a little too much like how I felt Infernal Machine was going, in that I felt that game was just going to give us random levels and not really have any plot or narrative. We don't have a crawl ability like in the Infernal Machine, so this looks like we can see there's a treasure there. So how do we reach that treasure? We can't just crawl through here. Let's go down here, I guess. Go down here, I guess. then seems like we're gonna be given a switch to probably open this pathway or turn off this fire. That's probably the story way forward. Which makes this probably walk on the walls covered with vines to climb. I want to reach that area. So let's do this first. We may find
Fortune and glory, here I come.
And see, that was called Port something relic. Let's check Port Ngombo relic. Let's check the map. Do we have anything labeled Port Ngombo? No. Do we have anything here that distinctively looks like a treasure? Not really. I kind of wonder if these X's might not be treasures as much as they might be loading zones. So that takes me somewhere else. And this seems like this takes me somewhere else. And this seems like this takes me somewhere else. This is a lot of somewhere else's. I guess we'll refill our health. One easy optimization you can have around this, though, is when you refill your health like that, have him just drink some water or automatically fill his health up anyways. So yes, this area just opens a door for kind of no reason. You can't climb up into this section. So less of that wall is covered in vines than it seems. It's perhaps not as outstanding a visual as it probably should be, although in all fairness, one of the complaints of the most recent jumping platforming styles of games that have come out is that they've gotten very ridiculous on how much they have climbing vision or just yellow highlights with no explanation around every place where you can climb. In some level, because the graphics have gotten better, it does kind of make sense that you would potentially highlight more of that. But on other levels, it should be more naturalistic and not just things are highlighted in yellow. So I suspect there's a jump. And we're definitely hearing some weird sound effects. So yeah, it sounds to me like there's a jump that if you miss you would fall down into this area that we're about to hit. As a kind of gotcha moment. Yep. Yep. Which that could have been, there could have been something down there to attack you, make you fight. Maybe that's the beginning of a more consistent collection of things you have to jump. Run forward and press the Q key to roll under the darts. How much will the darts hurt you? Okay. So Q is the right stick. Click. Alright, that hurt me a little, but not enough for it to really matter. Probably not enough to justify drinking water, but whatever. You do seem to take out a pretty high amount of damage. Can't climb up here. Seems like there's a pretty obvious pattern on it too. Well, I don't know if there is an actual obvious pattern there, or if it was just that when you get close it fires 3 things at you. Definitely feels like they're stretching for time now, trying to make this level longer than it really needs to be. Oh, do they not do the dart attack after you pass it the first time? Indy can chain several whip attacks apparently. I'll hope that this works fairly well, otherwise we're gonna fall. I imagine if you get the first swing going, you're probably guaranteed to do the second swing because it lines everything up. And that was a odd transition there, in that really wasn't where we were before. But I think the point that they're getting at here is that they are trying to have smaller sections of what feels like a bigger level so they can hide loads more. This game is way faster at loading levels than the Infernal Machine was. But yeah, I'm really aching for a character to talk to at this point and a puzzle to do. And I'm afraid we're... Right, adventure mode. Hop in different directions. Press Q to roll. Okay. So the pattern is seemingly the 2 on the back, and then 2 one at the top and 1 at the bottom. So as soon as this one's down, I can just do this, and then do this, and then just run forward and I guess take a little bit of damage. So when you see these tile sets, you've got a hopping puzzle. Alright, that's somewhat cool. And I imagine at some point we'll be spelling Jehovah or something with a mode like that. But is that really a puzzle? No, not really. Running out of water. It might be a case that you always drink a quarter of your water and it refills a certain amount, but you could potentially wait until you're like at half health.
There he is. There he is. He's over here.
For this kind of second generation game, you can't even really blame them for having characters that are exactly the same texture, because you have a situation where, do we have any shells? Any gun? Like you would be at a point where video cards just would not have the video RAM to account for more textures and more 3D models. Usually what you would see, though, and that is what's strange about this game, is that there's a clear willingness to have characters that show the exact same face, when it might have made a lot more sense to simply have them wearing bandanas or something. This water filling sound effect is it's pretty much the same sound effect of using a toilet. Yeah, normally in games like this you'd have people in helmets, faceless masks, or it would be demons from hell like in Doom. Clearly in older Doom games you could get away with monsters being repeated, but when you have just humans, there's kind of an expectation that people wouldn't be clones of each other. It seems like this is just going to be the end of the level. So we're going to get to this rope bridge.
Keep an eye on American. When big is hit.
I guess part of the question here is, how valuable are bullets? Should I potentially drop all the bullets? Or are they carrying over to the next level, or do I just start with 7 bullets in the next section? Now you'd have to expect on this rope bridge that you might just cut it, like in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Maybe fall in the river, maybe get swept out to a whole nother area. We definitely need scene changes. You can't just have the entire game. Interesting. So if we find another canteen, is that a temporary upgrade, or did we just get an improved canteen? It seems like we got an improved canteen. Which that could be useful. Can't cut the tree. And it does kind of imply to me that we might run into a improved health at some point. But yeah, this bridge looks old. Take your time crossing it. So it just breaks. And so we're supposed to have some kind of watch out for crocs that swarm these waters, better find dry land. Well, we do have a difference here compared to the early Tomb Raider games, in the sense that early Tomb Raider games almost exclusively had you fighting animals, but in this case, it seems like we're just doing an escape sequence. Behind waterfall, and found a skull. And found some dynamite bundle. So we still have the dynamite bundle. Let's go ahead and drink this. I think if anything is going to stop alligators, it probably would be the machete. And we can't hold the skull in the water, so yeah, I don't think we can do much here. I can't pick up my hat. I'm having a hard time finding where I'm supposed to go. I guess I was supposed to go here. But we've lost our hat. And I doubt the hat means you lose some of your health, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some small acknowledgement for keeping your hat throughout the entire level. Although it didn't really set you up in a good situation at this point where you would be able to recover it. We've got pretty good distance with our revolver. So I appreciate that. But I wonder if these guys didn't spawn anything to pick up because I was too far away. Are we gonna find another hat potentially in these boxes? We have a med kit. I find that weird that we would have a med kit. Because it definitely felt like we were going to focus solely on the cantina to replenish our health. So we've got a button switch here, and a button switch there, and it seems to me like there's no indication as to one being wrong or one being right. Definitely not jumping back in the water just to get the hat. I have wondered if that is just a shortcut section though. Well, I think I pressed the wrong button and threw the dynamite when I should have actually placed the dynamite. I think there was probably a minimal reward or item to collect had I done that. But we don't even know if collecting the collectibles really does anything for us. Hey, we've got our hat back now. So, even if you do lose your hat, it doesn't matter much. I am confused about this. Because we saw the rope bridge, and now maybe we've gone full circle down the river to where the head monument is. I guess that would make some sense. Sounds to me like there might be a snake somewhere.
There she is. What to? Not exactly my idea of a hot date.
This is like the first time Indiana Jones has really said anything in a very long time. It's been almost 2 hours in this level, where I was expecting it to be a much more simplified, short kind of tutorial section. I don't feel like I could jump there, but maybe there's some snake up there. Though it also just seems like we are going through this section.
There's got to be a way inside.
So yeah, you were supposed to... Now I don't think we're running into like the game particularly running faster, but it is weirdly a little easy that we can just kind of punch people. Right, as far as medkits go, we have 2 of 3. So that may mean we can only hold on to 3 medkits. So we might get to a point where it's wiser to use a medkit. But it would be weird if the medkit was an instant use from the menu. So I imagine it needs to probably have some kind of different value for it, and it may not. We may just start using medkits just because we're full of medkits. We're continuing to hear sound effects, but as far as that platform, I don't actually see a snake or anything on it. Makes me wonder if there's just some kind of water snake in the water that I managed to swim by. Water textures are kind of repetitive, but it's pretty good. Like, looks like light reflecting off of water, not really accounting for the shadows, which would have been pre-baked shadows. There's no illumination or lighting actually coming off of these fires, and the sun isn't moving. No dynamic weather systems or day and night cycles. Many of those things are really just buzzwords that are used to sell a publisher of a game on the idea of funding the development of a game more than they are buzzwords that I think interest modern gamers these days. But they were definitely things that were advertised heavily as they were introduced. I, in particular, like when games don't have day-night cycles and just have standard lighting, so everybody has about the same experience visually. The ray tracing, dynamic lighting technologies are interesting, yes, but I personally don't find them to add as much to video games as they seem to imply they would, nor do I feel like they are worth the amount of processing power you often lose when you do have ray tracing on. I feel like eventually we're going to run into enough traps where you'll die if you just run through them like I am doing. But maybe not. Yeah, I guess the question is just how much more game is in here. This is a really big level. What makes me wonder about this is this the entirety of the game, though? Particularly since the name of the game is The Emperor's Tomb. Are we just straight up going to end up... Is there another vine in front of us? No. I wonder if that's a crocodile sound. Yeah, I wonder if we are just gonna stay in the Tibetan, China, Asian type areas and never leave and end up just fighting the same enemies the whole game because of that. I'd feel very disappointing compared to every other Indiana Jones movie or Fate of Atlantis or Last Crusade, which is based off the movie Last Crusade, because all of those adventures, and kind of it's in the name adventure, are built around the idea of going to new and exciting locations, not stagnantly being in the same locations. Yeah. I guess we'll go one more area, but the fact that that was another checkpoint and another load makes me suspect there's just going to be more. Probably a section where we fight some people, probably some platforming. We're falling into a kind of consistent pattern. Hold, press and name the C key to look around. Weirdly, the right stick C key, to click that to go into first person mode, is also the Q key when you click that to roll. So they have done some programming to adjust the to support controllers a little bit better. So now we get to see where the checkpoints are made. It's just a simple continue end option. We no longer have the IQ points, which IQ points made a lot of sense in Fate of Atlantis and Last Crusade, which were point and click adventure games and had a fairly limited subset of actions you could or could not take, with not even really that many branching choices. Either you would do something in the point and collect adventure or you wouldn't, to gain an IQ point. It didn't really make a lot of sense for them to try and take that concept and put it in the Infernal Machine, and obviously now they're not using that same concept again.
I think someone just stepped on my grave.
Okay, well, that was the way around. I wasn't 100% sure that that was actually the way around, but
I'll have to find another way around.
this feels like this is a slide section.
That was too close.
That feels like that could be a secondary gameplay mechanic, but you're not going to do too much of that.
There he is.
I feel it's a little weird still to have so much shooting. Now we've introduced the idea of climbing down ladders. Okay. I think one of the problems with Indiana Jones stories in general is that you have to always tell this tale where he is potentially late to the party because there needs to be some enemies around, particularly in video games. That becomes a problem. Okay, I see a pathway up. that way, or I see water down this way. And I can definitely see crocodiles down there, so I don't think there's a good reason to volunteer to go and fight the crocodiles. Since we know there's no IQ points, or it seems at least there isn't, we could... Yeah, if there were IQ points, it would be in this pause menu, probably. Yeah, there's no reason to do other things. We should just maintain our health as much as possible and try to get to the end of the level as much as possible. Well, I'm not having a huge amount of problem with this game. I would say there's not a lot of desire to stretch out this game. In fact, I kind of prefer to minimally speedrun a game like this and just get through it relatively quickly. Yeah. Particularly since I don't have nostalgia for this game, since I've never played it before. This is not like Fate of Atlantis. Like I would totally be willing to go back and play Fate of Atlantis again at some point in the future, although in fairness I've played it relatively recently, whereas I can already tell from this one level I just would never imagine that I would actually play this level a second time, because there's just nothing special about this. You strip out Indiana Jones, you replace him with Nathan Drake from Uncharted or Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, and you get the exact same thing. Uncharted in particular, in an effort to become something different, started to heavily, as a series, press up and down to climb the rope. What is up and down? Up and down in this case is up and down on the right stick, not up and down on the left stick. Well, that's a new movement mechanic. So maybe in previous parts of this level, if I had climbed ropes, that would have been a bigger... I might have found some secret extra things. This room feels repetitive. So even in this first level, it feels like the creators of this game are running out of steam, or they're running out of RAM, so they're having to reuse 3D models. I think one of the things you probably take from this... I'm not going to climb up this.
Keep an eye on the American, hey? On big ones, his head.
Was I supposed to do something else? I guess I was. Maybe I was supposed to get down there.
There he is! Get him, lads!
Seems to me like shooting people kind of slowly is the right move. Then I guess we're jumping down. Taking a little bit of damage, I guess. And boy, would it stink if you were just on a sliver of health and that was the point where you died. I shot 3 people, at least one of their bodies disappeared. And then I guess we had looked through this door and we couldn't have come through it. We need to activate that door to open, and there is nothing else. Then we're just walking upstairs. Normally, in a more modern game, you would expect there to be a cutscene at that point. Maybe we're getting to finally a puzzle, or maybe it's just a booby trap. But overall, it seems to me like we are just in a completely linear experience that never ends. Yeah, unless we get a completely different map to a completely different location, it seems to me like there's at least one more section. But it may just be that we're inside of a temple now and he just does not have a map inside a temple. I guess the real question to answer here is, why am I still playing this game when by about this point at the end of the second episode of Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine I was ready to give up? I guess the answer to that is it's slightly better. We have not run into issues like in the Infernal Machine where we are dying over and over again just because it's too hard. We're not really running into a struggle to have to have health pickups or find health pickups. We're not getting poisoned by snakes or spiders. Noticeably, we haven't even seen any snakes and spiders. The only thing that's attacked us as far as an animal has been a crocodile. Crocodiles do happen to do a lot of damage, but not enough to be a nuisance. We haven't run into any crashes. The game is visually one generation ahead, by my opinion, so it looks good. We don't have the enemies looking considerably less quality compared to Indiana Jones himself. So yeah, overall this game just feels a lot more playable, and it feels a lot more realistic that somebody would play this game, assuming you could get it to launch and get it into full screen mode without crashing, which there was a lot of fiddling in the first episode around that. There was also a lot of fiddling with the controls. The default controls turned out to be the right controls, but the tutorial as to how to use the default controls was severely lackluster. If you were playing mouse and keyboard, it wouldn't have been anywhere as much of a problem, but that is also a major thing that has changed since the early generations of PC games, and now PC games really, in my opinion, are just considerably better since most modern games have controller support, and very few PC games really benefit from you playing with a mouse and keyboard. There's still a few. If you're playing something like Dota or Diablo, there might very well still be a really good reason to play with mouse and keyboard. Or if you're playing Counter-Strike Go and trying to get up the professional ranking ladder, the faster input of mouse and keyboard is still a major advantage. But for your average laid-back general gamer, it's pretty easy to just plug a controller into your computer and play with that. Now, I'm gonna take the risk and quit the game after this episode, so hopefully that doesn't cause a problem. I don't imagine why it would, though. It'd be pretty crazy that the game is obviously making checkpoints, so it'd be crazy to lose those checkpoints. Although, the main concern, I guess, at this point would be just the game going on way, way too long. If we were, say, 15-20 hours into the game and we're still wandering around this tomb, that would be weird. But I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be super surprised if that is exactly how this game goes, is that it is going to be somewhere between 10 and 15 hours of exclusively wandering around the tomb in the locations we've seen. I would like to see some more variety there, and I would like some actual story and conversations and dialogue, and puzzles. Mostly puzzles would do a lot for this game. Anyways, though, I am going to get repetitive if I keep going on, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.